about who the drivers were, things like that. Nowadays, you couldn't draw the cars because they've got so many little flaps and edges and tiny little vortices and all sorts all over them that they're just too complicated now. I remember going to Autosport International and looking at the barge boards on the Haas, and it just hurts your brain. But these cars, they're simple wings, simple side pods, simple aerodynamics, and don't they look great for it? And, you know, the liveries look good on them as well. They really complement them.
Absolutely so. We've got some great looking machines on display tonight as well, it has to be said.
Pete Harrod's team Mad Car, one of them as well. Very contrasty livery on that car. The dark red, black sections highlighted with the yellow. And each driver in that team has their own colours as well. They have their own little highlights on their liveries. Pete running the blue. I know that Paul Smith usually runs a pink shade on his car. They have a number of them. Chris Wood usually runs green. I think Miguel Freitas runs a dark red. But practice is now over, and it's going to be time for qualifying to sort out the grid for the very important race that will round out our evening here at Zandvoort. Based on what we've seen so far tonight, is there anyone you've got your eye on here, Hasse? I think potentially Tobias Olsson, personally for me, is the man that's going to be hard to beat, especially as he's been so consistent so far.
Yeah, he'll have a point to prove as well to put himself in a good position for this final race as well. Yet to pick up a win, and that's well out of characteristic, you could say, for the Swede, and he's certainly, I think, wanting to do something about that. Excuses there as he exits the pit in his 19 car. Let's go on board with him because it's a close qualifying, meaning the drivers only have themselves on track. There's no traffic. There's nothing else to watch. Let's just go on board and just see, watch, and listen to how Tobias Olsson gets these laps in. Oh. Just trying to make sure that he's well aware of the limits. I think trying to get the heat into the tires as well.
Overdoing it slightly, I think, there, but yeah, really pushing it hard to make sure he's got all the temperature in these tires and got them working exactly how he wants. But this is a joy to ride on board. Really shows you how high speed this circuit is, doesn't it?
Indeed, it's much faster than it would seem, I think, to be in a car with a higher top speed. But this, you just use so much of the potential of the car, so much of the time here, braking at about 50 meters into the second gear, turn one. Or second gear for the most of us, but of course, really dialed. Tobias Olsson gets it done in third. Just clips the curb there. And then another tight left-hander to cope with. Another crest, and that's really the name of the game here at Zandvoort. So much undulation on the track. It's not really that much elevation gain, but it just tips up and down like the dunes the track is situated on. And it's exits like these at over 200 kilometers an hour. And really test the mettle of car and machine.
It's this section now where carrying speed is so important. Every single apex really matters. That's a real driver's section, that is. No matter how you've got the car set up, the driver has to manage so much around there. This is always a very entertaining corner to go into, although, now, quickly to explain, in iRacing, if you go over track limits, you get what's known as a 1X, one incident point, which invalidates your lap in qualifying. I think Tobias Olsson, although I think by the fact he's carried on, I don't think he's overstepped the mark there, but it looked close. Saunders with a 28.9, that is quick. What is Olsson going to do? 28.7 goes fastest again. That's a fantastic stuff.
Incredible. And that is quite the lap as well. Mind you, this is a second chance for Bart Daleman as well. They'll have another lap to go on here at the end of this, so we'll see just how it goes. But Daleman's certainly going to be hoping himself to at least stay where he is, row 2. That's a decent starting place, but I'm sure he wants to be joining B.S. Olsen there on the front row. Make sure that he'll... that is... Oh, what a send!
So close to the limit.
There's a lap...
I'm sat here with my gob open.
I was just about to say, it's a lap to shut you right up, because, wow, the precision and the amount of aggression, and yet coming out quickly. This is something different. There's something else.
It's like watching Adrian Falcon here last season was just unstoppable. Daleman with a 28.5, 28.6 for Rutten, 28.5 for Hoffman, 28.2 for Kevin Zemstra. These boys know how to put a lap in. Flipping heck. Mark Fletcher does a 29.0. That's 8 tenths off Saunders. 28.7. 29.5 for Carn Newen. Watch Olsen go and do a 28.7 here. Oh, sorry, a 27.0 or something ridiculous like that. Oh, there you go. 28.2. That'll do. Thank you very much, he says. Well, he certainly needed it, didn't he, Hassa? Because suddenly the times came flying down. He's only top by 100th of a second again.
It's incredible. He really needed that improvement. And I wasn't really expecting everyone else to go that quickly as well. They certainly did. And they're providing us yet again with a great showdown into the feature race here. And by my calculations and expectations as well, Chaz, given the racing we've had so far this evening, I think this slightly longer feature race is going to fly by us as well. And we're going to sit there at the end of it yet again thinking, what the hell happened? And where did it go? Because we've been sitting like this several times so far already these few weeks we've been going for this season. The races just passed by us so quickly. And I think just to round it off, for those of us, and I know you are as well, used to sitting there and commentating on endurance events and stuff, where the prospect of things and the perspectives are a little bit longer indeed. And once you come into the sprint racing, it's just hard on and so direct, and it really gives you all that action instantaneously. Great to see here. Tobias Olsen has been bettered. And in the end, look at that. Zemstra with a 28 dead. Hoffman, 28-1. So Hoffman, I think, is going to take second ahead of Bart Daleman. Then Reese Saunders, Olsen, and then I think Mark Fletcher. But Fletcher, I think, is still out there with a chance to improve upon his 28.38. Oh, that's not going to be with that. Oh, that is one massive moment. And that's going to be his lap over, I'm afraid, yeah.
He's frustrated. You can hear it by the spike in the revs. He's put the throttle pedal through the chassis in anger there, has Mark Fletcher, and I don't blame him. He's been so quick, but just those little mistakes there really upset his lap. He knows he's fast enough to do this. Still 6th on the grid isn't bad, though. Tim Rutten's done a great job in second place in consistency, but Ben Hoffman, what a start. What a star. Oh, excuse me, Mark. Nice little drift on the way in there, sunshine. There's a very small pit lane at Zandvoort as well, actually. Quite surprises me. Mark Van Dalen's doing a photo shoot before turn 1. Jakub Szymanski, who we must mention, actually, is running the 1999 Williams Formula 1 team livery tonight. He got in touch with us before this evening and said he's got a little story for us. Basically, due to his good performances in past races, he's been given a new opportunity by a small racing team with an underperforming driver. And now they're sponsoring his drive and using a 1999 Williams livery, which Ralf Schumacher and Alex Zanardi very famously used in Formula 1. in the year 1999.
I was just about to say, was that underperforming driver Zanardi? Because if I recall correctly, he had an abysmal time that year, didn't he? With crashing out
so.
and a car that wasn't all that great either, of course. But there were great expectations to Zanardi coming into Formula One, being a double IndyCar champion as he is, and a great driver in his own right. But he never really amounted to it, and never really seemed to settle in and get comfortable in Formula One.
Yeah, it was that really weird period for Williams where they didn't seem to know what they were. They had this fantastic run of form, obviously through the early 90s and then into the late 90s as well, with Damon Hill, Jacques Villeneuve as well winning the championship. And all of a sudden, with the regulation change in 98, when they went from slick tyres to grooved tyres, narrower cars as well, suddenly the Winfield livery turned up, and it was still Villeneuve and Frentzen, but they just didn't have the car underneath them, and it was a real struggle. And then the next year, you know, they're two-star drivers. I mean, for me, Heinz-Harald Frentzen is one of the most underrated Formula One drivers ever. He was so close to the title on a few occasions. But after that, they left. They got Alex Zanardi, an incredible talent, and obviously what happened to Alex is a massive, massive shame. But, you know, he's still racing, and he's still doing it now with hand controls and all sorts. But it was a real dark time for Williams. You know, they've had a lot of them since then, but these 2 years with this Winfield livery just seemed to be a bit cursed. You know, it started coming back on then in the early 2000s. They had a certain Jenson Button in 2000, 2001 as well. They, of course, had Ralf Schumacher, Juan Pablo Montoya. Some interesting lineups like Heitfeld and Webber in 2005, which was odd. But yeah, rather than me reminisce about Williams, we should look at the grid.
We should indeed. It's Kevin Semstra this time around. Double race winner so far. Can he make it 3 out of 3 from pole position here, Chaz? I think so for Alcantech. Ben Hoffman, second on the grid this time around, really translating his race pace into qualifying here. Bart Daleman and Rhys Saunders on row 2 ahead of Tobias Olsen and Mark Fletcher on row 3. Tim Rutten and James Forsythe joins each other on row 4 ahead of Kevin Poon and Philip Russell on row 5. Row 6 consisting of Pete Herrod and Hansi Pullmans. Row 7 indeed, Taylor Lane and Mark van Dalen ahead of Dries Moody and Can Nguyen on row 8. Row 9 will be Matthias Groen and Steven de Wolf ahead of Craig Schill and Paul Smith on row 10. Then Jacob Szymanski and Wayne Palmer, row 11. Jürgen van der Peer and Oscar Wala there on row 12. The 13th and hopefully not too unlucky row of action will be Phil Reagan, joined by Paul Godden. And on row 14, it's Greg Parmenter and Miguel Freitas, who didn't get to set a time. I think it's Q2 qualifying bands coming into display for a fair number of drivers here at the bottom of the field. Indeed, there Freitas, Jovaisha, Judici Adams, Vierenga, and Stephen Grabowski as well will be taking the start from the back of the grid here in Chess. That is certainly a tough way to have you start the feature race here around 9A as it is.
Yeah, that's it. It's going to be a tough one for these guys early on. They need to be very, very careful. But we've seen just what a bit of patience and a bit of pace can do with Tobias Olsen in that second race earlier. So I think some of them, if they're patient enough, avoid some of the potential mayhem early on, which we might see, then they could get some strong results and at least recover when it turns into the championship points at the end. But, well, Kevin Zemstra, he's definitely one to beat. Let's see how he gets on.
Yeah, indeed. How will it go in turn 1 this time around? Quick 5 lights, and they're off! Semstra with Hoffman on the inside. Hoffman gets a very good run, and there are several cars there. Daleman and a few others wanting to follow him out on the inside, and let's see how it goes. Breaking in, and it's always going to get tight. So far, they've made it.
Oh, I think we had a car or two off at the back. Jakub Szymanski and Greg Parmenter, although I don't think Jakub's taken the start, actually. But still, very feisty early up near the front. Daleman and Saunders are off. Daleman and Saunders are dropping down the order. Bart Daleman having a real nightmare.
What?
Bart Daleman has had the worst night. The worst night.
What a disaster for Bart Daleman. Oh, and he gets clipped, and he is the unlucky bystander yet again. Once more, Bart Daleman. And Daleman has put it in the wall in pure frustration.
Oh, we've got a lot more cars off as well, mate. Tim Rutten, Wayne Palmer, James Forsythe. Oh, multitude of cars off there. That is at the right-hander just before the hairpin.
Van Dalen as well here. Let's see what happened. The Dutchman on the inside gets pipped there at the front. He spins. And then Forstijk was all on his own. I think, nope, certainly not. Let's see what happens to James Forstijk, who gets a bit of a touch there with the 139.
Oh, oh, hello. Suddenly more of them arrive on the scene.
Yeah, dude, expect there to be oil on track or rain haven't fallen or something like that. Of course, I know that hasn't. Look at this, though. Tobias Olsen's gone from 5th to 3rd now as he's squeezing himself on the outside of Mark Fletcher. That was an excellent move indeed.
I'll tell you what, out of the people that we've lost in the first lap, 6 of them are precision class drivers, 4 academy and 1 consistency driver. 3, I think even 4 of them are year 1 cars. Now, year 1 have been disqualified from the playoffs due to the actions of Ryan Mikalev back at Montreal and the causing of incidents. So, year 1 not having the best of seasons so far, unfortunately. And this race has just sort of been the nail in the coffin, I'm afraid. But Ben Hoffman, what a guy. Like, my guy, Ben Hoffman. Really, really nice bloke is Ben. He was so supportive of all the commentary and streams and everything last season. And he always has been and always will be. But Ben Hoffman absolutely on it tonight in the consistency class. He's using his usual Sebastian Vettel helmet. And he's using his, well, usual Sebastian Vettel driving at the moment. He's really flying. Tobias Olsen behind him is going to be hard to keep back. We've got Paul Smith and Matthias Groen going down the order. This is Rhys Saunders. Oh, that was just... Not quite sure who that was on there. Rhys was rejoining the other car, I think, just thought he had the overlap or had cleared him. Didn't quite catch who that was, I'm afraid. But Hoffman there losing the place to Olsen. This is what happened to Paul Smith. Goes down the inside of Matthias Groen. And there's big contact. I don't think that Matthias thought he was going to be there. It's a bit scrappy, isn't it, Hassa? We've had a multitude of guys retire already. Nearly... Actually, to be fair, no, I say that. Only 3 cars not running. That's Rhys Saunders, Gervais and Bart Delman. Just everyone's falling off. Carl Newen has now fallen off the circuit as well. He's just... Oh, he's off on the right there. There he is. Bless him.
Oh.
No one wants to finish this.
I have to say, it's been a real slaughterhouse, this race so far. 21 laps we've had to do. And we've done just 2. We're on the 3rd lap of action so far. And we've been trying to keep up with the guys who's been going off left, right, and center. And they've really been piling up. And indeed, maybe a few frustrated souls over incidents and those... you've been talking about earlier, if you go into a race sort of already red misted, then things easily get out of hand here. Robert Odoms with a bit of blinking for himself. Hopefully he gets his connection sorted.
I just want to quickly mention there's a group of drivers that have made it through the chaos that I mentioned earlier. Stephen Grabowski, Robert Odoms, Daniele Giudici, Craig Schill, Phil Reagan, Jürgen van der Peer and Miguel Freitas. They have all gained a multitude of positions. Grabowski's gained 14, Freitas has gained 16, and these guys are absolutely on it now. So Grabowski's 6th in class at the moment, behind Robert Odoms, who's just in front of him. And it's James Forstijk in the Alcantech car, 7th in precision, but he's obviously dropped down after the earlier incident. But Miguel Freitas, 6th in class now, 12th overall. He's gained 16 spots. Here's a battle between Phil Russell and Hans Polmans. Philip Russell, another driver that was very quick in his class last season, but just had a few silly incidents here and there. He had a massive accident at Watkins Glen, if I remember rightly, while fighting for a very high position. I think it was Mia Karisis that he was involved with. He just had a real moment. The car looking like it's understeering there. Or is he under pressure from Dries Moosdy? I don't think so, because Dries is, I think, 7/10 back. No. Just seems like the car is really understeering, isn't it?
Yeah, I might have pushed it a bit too hard and even overheated the tires a bit. I think once you plow into it a bit too much, that tends to be a thing. As... Oh, Tobias Olsen! Olsen has gone off! And...
You know what? I'm going to call this. He's used the edge of the circuit here a bit too much. How did he not hit anything? Oh my God.
It is incredible.
How did he not hit that wall? I'm sorry, but I don't believe that he didn't hit that wall. That was ridiculous. Look how close he gets to that. Could we see that from maybe the left rear suspension?
Most certainly, we can.
Because, oh my gosh. So he just gets over the curb and then all four wheels are off and he lights it up. That's such a close call. I mean, there's cars that come around the corner nearly pile into him, but fortunately everyone very switched on there. That now means that this man, Mark Fletcher, for Altitude Esports, is certainly climbing the mountain, so to speak, and is up into second place. But ahead of him, ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Zemstra raced for Fiercely Forward last season. Now it's Alcantech NHR by Nyman Racing and all the other 15 names that it's got to go with it. But amazing stuff. This Alcantech team, they did say they were going to launch an attack on this championship and put everything into it. And they have been very, very impressive indeed. Mainly a Scandinavian team from what I know, before they then recruited a lot of the Europeans that they have now. And it's certainly a very strong outfit. Tobias Olsen, they're moving up into 7th position. Nice little move on Philip Russell. Philip wasn't racing too hard for that one. Well, he races himself too hard for that, and he's off the road. Instant commentator's curse there by Chaz Draycott.
And someone behind has had a major moment as well. I think that's Taylor Lane.
One of the few drivers that remains at Fiercely Forward after the mass exodus
just
they
another.
had.
Oh, that's in sort of a sympathy crash for Philip Russell. He takes the same bit of gravel, but has a bit of a different outcome. Oh, and he has to be so careful. There's just nothing he can do. Let's not watch more of this agony. Let's get back to the racing indeed here. Look at this, Stephen De Wolf here, 9th place overall for him at the moment. He's got Miguel Freitas. Freitas will come up almost 20 positions in less than 7 laps here at Zandvoort. Of course, a lot of that will be overtakes, but there's been so much attrition as well. Got a freebie on Philip Russell there not too long ago. Now Hansi Pullmans is under attack from Tobias Olsen, who is coming back again. He's tried this before, but he's sitting 9.3 seconds off his teammate and race leader, Kevin Zemstra. Having a hard time seeing that come through and really work out for him here. But Freitas, incredible indeed here. Freitas up into 10th, and he could look at a very eventful race this time around as well, and no doubt because he's come from all the way at the back, and when you're doing this, when you like the feeling it leaves you with, it's just a great sensation in the body, isn't it?
Oh yeah, when you battle through the pack, it's awesome fun. I mean, I was racing some touring cars last night, and I think I started 15th on the grid in race 2, and then all I did was finish 7th. But I had an absolute ball getting through the field, and even if you finish higher than where you started, you know, that's a win really. It's a win-win situation, especially when you've got multiple races in a night as well. You can try and play the game and use the format where possible to just gradually improve as the night goes on. Now Philip Russell's trying to improve. Let's try and get past Stephen De Wolf. Now this is for 4th position in class. These two racing each other after Philip had that moment at the final corner to run wide. And a little bit of a blink in and out there for him as well. That's not going to fill Stephen De Wolf with much confidence, because while it's difficult to chase down a driver that's blinking, when you've got one behind you that's blinking, it's even more worrying, I'd say, because you'd be scared they're going to plow into the back of you.
Yeah, exactly. So it takes so much trust in one another, and of course you build that when you race against each other in a league week in, week out, and especially those of them who's been here for several seasons indeed. And that's one of the great things with league racing, is that you get to know the competitors, you get to know the ins and outs of the guys you race against, as you would in real life again. And again, that's something where the open online sort of racing, whether it's on iRacing or on Gran Turismo Sport or ACC or whatever, it's still something that you'll be racing someone new most of the time, unless you are at the very, very, very pointy end of affairs, at the very top of things. You're going to be seeing new faces pretty much every race, and that just makes it difficult to get that process of getting in under one another's skin, and that's really something that can mean a lot when you start racing one another, because you get to know that, oh, this driver is always sort of aggressive here, but I know he always leaves the space, or other drivers where you just go, okay, this guy is a bit of a loose cannon, let's be careful around him and wait for him to make the mistakes on his own instead.
Yeah, in fact, a friend of mine was just literally about an hour before we started the broadcast was talking to me about getting into league racing on another sim with me. We've been friends for years, and before we either of us actually did sim racing, and he's looking to get properly involved with it now. And I was just explaining to him that league racing is where it's at, because it is great that you can jump into public lobbies and into races on iRacing, every hour, even in the MX5s, and you could always be against somebody new. And like you said there, unless you're right at the top, you will see some people again and again. Even in the lower levels as well, you might see them if you're on a similar sort of playing field. But league racing, where you learn all the drivers around you and the way they behave, the teams, the championship standings as well. You have a title to fight for in this. Like, I know that you do get championship points in iRacing when it comes to the official stuff, but it's harder to keep track of. You don't know how many points you're going to get, how many points your rivals are going to get. In this, it's a set point scoring system, and that's that. You get the points you get, and you know what the calendar is. You know exactly how the championship's going to go, and Tobias Olsen just flings it past Kevin Puen like he's not even there, uses all of the road. Lovely stuff from Tobias once again. Let's have a look on board.
It just gets the braking on him late, and I think Kevin Puen just says, well, you know what, there's no point in fighting this one. I'm just gonna keep my keep the distance to the cars behind, because he's got Hans Pohlmans, who's got a very good race this time around, second in class, 6th overall, and normally you'd be sitting 6th overall as a consistency driver. You'd be looking at leading class, but not today, with Ben Hoffman doing what he's doing out ahead there in 3rd overall, starting from 2nd. He's been on impressive form tonight. It's been great to see.
Really has. Now let's mention as well, it is Pete Harrod in Team Mad. Now Olsen's just on the fastest lap of the race by 0.3 of a second over current race leader Mark Fletcher. When did Mark get that lead? Have I missed that?
I think we've missed something, as Zemstra has had his moment.
Yeah, I think he's just going to run a little bit wide on the exit of here.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, it's a
He's lucky that didn't go worse.
Yeah, that was a big bump indeed.
I was going to say, I don't remember Mark taking the lead. The man that we were just looking at there was Pete Harrod for a moment, and his teammate just in front of him, Miguel Freitas, has gained 20 positions in this race. He started 28th on the grid, right near the back. He's had a wild old ride to get up into the top 10. He's going well. So too Stephen Grabowski as well. Stephen had a very tough time in the last 2 seasons of the Sim Stickers Simracersworld Formula 3 series, but Stephen doing well now with 18 places gained. Daniele Giudici, 16 places gained. He was racing touring cars with me last night around Snetterton. Very different beast to this car track combo. But right now, Freitas, biggest mover in the field, doing a grand old job. He's a previous champion here on Sim Racers World. He won the Sim Racers World TCR series in a very, very dominant way. I think it was season 2 of that championship. I was broadcasting it, and Miguel was pretty untouchable. And he's got Eau Rouge written on the side of his airbox, which I'm not sure is a brand or whether it's a nickname for him or something. And Pete Harrod comes into the pits. Pete Harrod jumps in. And yeah, I think it is a nickname thing for Miguel, because Pete doesn't have it. Paul Smith's car on the right there as well with the pink rear wing. Paul, unfortunately, out of the race. We've got 5 retirements so far, 4 of them from the precision class. James Forsyth, Paul Smith, Rhys Saunders, Dominikas Jovaisha, and Bart Daleman. Stephen Grabowski and Mark Van Dalen also in the pits. But this is a battle just ahead of that. Wayne Palmer, Craig Schill behind him in the Westech Autosport, team primarily run by our good mate and fellow commentator Jack Werrell. And then Jakub Szymanski just behind this battle as well. Matthias Groen in the Sim Racers World Esports car. Very, very menacing looking livery this season for the Sim Racers World team. I really like it.
It's beautiful indeed. It's sort of throws my mind off to the John Player special, Years of the Lotus, as Martin Cruz. Rune, of course, gets a very good run up the inside of Craig Gilles. But just plattered with orange instead of gold. When you look at it, it has the same sort of the lines and some of where the colors are in the car and stuff like that. Looks excellent indeed. So I think
Jakub Szymanski's just gone off. Sorry, Jakub's just had a moment behind these guys. Not quite sure what caused it. Philip Russell's come in the pits. Pete Harrod now trying to make moves after he's finished his stop. This is what happened to Jakub in the Williams. Oh, just clips the gravel. Just kisses the wall the tiniest bit. And much like Alex Zanardi, he's going to carry on carrying on. Now Pete Harrod runs all the way over to the right to try and get the slipstream. Stephen de Wolf, 9th place at the moment. He's got the current Academy class leader behind him, Jurgen van der Peer, in 10th place overall. He's gained 13 spots in this race. Stephen de Wolf in the Dynamics Racing Gold team ahead of the Dynamics Racing Duvel car, Jurgen van der Peer. Now, obviously, Duvel, the Belgian beer, which has a 6.66%, or the 666 beer, as it's known, which has recently come out. I nearly picked up a bottle of it yesterday, but instead, I got something. I wonder if you've heard of this one, Hasse, called La Chouffe.
I have not heard of La Chouffe.
Now, La Chouffe is rather strong for a beer. I was recommended it by our, well, one of my heroes, if I'm honest. I'm still going to say it, David Addison, who commentates on the British Touring Car Championship. He loves a Belgian beer, does David, and he recommended La Chouffe. It's Houblon Chouffe. Houblon, I think, is the brewery, or Chouffe is. Oh, hello, Mark van Dalen, doing a bit of Mark van Dancing on the way into the hairpin. But, yeah, La Chouffe is 8% Belgian beer. It's rather strong, to say the least. I had a few swigs, and I've left Beth to her own devices with it tonight, so I imagine she'll be on the floor when I go back upstairs after this broadcast. Because that be a strong beer. Either way, Kevin Zemstra now back at the front of the field after Mark Fletcher has completed his pit stop. 4.4 seconds for him, only down to 4th place now, so that seems pretty quick. Everybody else is around the 4 to 5 second mark, some of them about 7 seconds. So I think Mark is in a safe place to hold that lead, so long as Zemstra doesn't have a lightning pit stop. But this is the different little variable that we get with these longer races, isn't it, Hasse? Having a pit stop, it always spices things up a little bit and keeps us guessing.
Yeah, absolutely so, and it creates a different element to have to take into consideration, and a different element to practice as well, because once you realize how much time you can gain and lose, of course, as well, on pit entry and exit, if you're not, like, let's take Michael Schumacher for instance. I know the Michael, he has his fans and he has his critics, and of course I think in some way the views on Michael Schumacher after his accident has also been a little bit more well biased, and that comes from someone. As a kid, I had 12 Michael Schumacher t-shirts. I was a die-hard Michael Schumacher fan as a kid. He was my hero. And I did not care for anyone who said anything else but that he was. Anyways, the point being that he had this thing with being a very meticulous practitioner of the pit entrances and exits as well, so he could make sure that he could squeeze every single bit of time out of the pit stops. And once you're up against someone like that, if you're not going to do the same thing, well, all of a sudden you find yourself bleeding what turns out to be maybe a second or a second and a half in the end. That just could be the time you're going to be behind the other car come the end of that pit stop round. So it's certainly something to take into consideration and to focus on as well. And I think the higher the level, the more importance needs to be put onto it as well.
Sorry, but I'm going to go back to beer. The other Chouffe, I mentioned Houblon Chouffe. Now Houblon is one that I mistook. I mistook the Houblon part. Houblon is, I believe, the strongest one they do. Now that is 9%, which is very strong for a beer, which is 330 millilitres. Very nice indeed. But yeah, check their beers out, because yeah, they're all belted. Anyway, there's racing going on, and I do appreciate that sentiment regarding Mr. Schumacher. Honestly, I won't lie to you, I've not watched the documentary yet because I've had so many other things queued up that I've been completing them before I give it one big sesh to watch it through, because I know that it's going to be a real tearjerker for sure. Bless him. Anyway, Daniele Giudici absolutely on it with this battle around him right now. He's got Phil Reagan in front. Wayne Palmer just behind. Fletcher has re-inherited the race lead. All pit stops have been completed now. And Stephen Grabowski, unfortunately, has dropped a couple of places after his pit stop was 7 seconds. Giudici sending it round the outside. Look at that lovely stuff. The flamboyant Italian absolutely on it.
Let's have another look at this one here on board with Daniele Giudici in the 244 machine, late braking and then just carrying the speed around. And it's one of the things we've mentioned before as being so great with the F3 machines in general. It's the fact that they really don't take up that much of the track in terms of pure space. They're so small and nimble machines that you can easily fit 2 of them across most racetracks, maybe even 3, given a whole lot of skill and, let's say, will to survive from everyone involved. Not that I'd advise everyone going 3 wide ever, especially not in open wheelers, but you get the picture. They could fit them in, and it's just great to see indeed the moves that can be made from oh, look at behind here. We're gonna get another one here from Wayne Palmer. Wayne Palmer, who just about gets it on Phil Reagan.
Phil manages to hold the inside. Phil just about survived that one, though. Looked like a scary moment. Oh, there's the commentator's curse. Well, he's had contact. I'm not sure if he's broken the car, though. It seems okay. He's just taking it calmly as he gets back on with it. Both right wheels hit the wall, but it doesn't seem to have damaged it too much. Craig Schill's going to try and come through now. Let's face it, it's not going to be difficult in a straight line like that. Yeah, just lit it up a little bit too much there. We've seen a number of people do that, haven't we? Just, I think it was already going, to be fair. Bounces off the wall nice and gently. I'd say he got away with that one there. But I'm going to reminisce again. You were talking about the size of these Formula 3 cars as Stephen de Wolf gets on the power a little bit too hard for his own good there. Now, you recommended that some of these drivers maybe don't try it 3 wide, but, you know, we love to see that sort of racing. But don't you wish that Formula 1 cars were smaller again?
Yes.
Anyone that follows me or has me as a friend on Facebook will have seen that I recently acquired a Mika Hakkinen McLaren for my Mini Champs collection, which I've started to really increase the numbers on recently. And I, just by chance, came into possession of only a 2010 car, which is the Force India, with Adrian Sutil at the wheel. And even that difference between a 2010 car and the 1998 car is just ridiculous. And now, the size of F1 cars now, for me, I just think they're too big. They need to be not as small as Formula 3 cars, because that's just not going to be how it is, but they just need to be smaller, as they were in the late 90s, because that was the perfect era for me. You know, late 90s, early 2000s, best era of Formula 1. However, they're going to be smaller from the next few years, but they're still not small enough in my mind. I like these little things. I've seen a lot of different Formula cars this year, traveling Europe in Euro Formula and Formula 4 and Freca and all that. Oh no, Matthijs Groen!
It's gonna hit the wall!
Oh.
Oh no, Matthijs Groen after pulling out a huge move there. And the debris, of course, not being struck because it
It doesn't exist.
it doesn't exist. I was about to say it's only visual. Oh my word, we'll have another look at it here. Heartbreak for Matthijs Groen just after he completed the move. Maybe a little bit too ambitious around the outside there, carrying too much speed, picking up the gravel and losing control in the end. Now, out ahead, Mark Fletcher leads Kevin Semstra by about almost 4 seconds. And then Tobias Olsen's up into 3rd place now. Of course, having gotten past Ben Hoffman, who's still comfortably leading the consistency class.
Great performances from Olsen tonight, to be fair. Even though he's had the random little moments where he's just gone off or pushed it a little bit too hard or he's just been too fast for his own good. He's been so entertaining to watch. He has been so fast and he's still been gaining the places. It's all been about damage limitation for him. And in the championship, that's what he needs to do. So, long may it continue because it's going to take a lot for any of them to beat this guy. Long slide again, but look how much he's balancing this car. Look at that, he's sideways into there. It's almost like he's just having a laugh with it, but he's right on that limit, isn't he?
Absolutely so. This looks like he's trying to trim through a 1200 horsepower turbo F1 in qualifying mode because this is... Oh, he's dancing again. He's trying to pick up Kevin Semstra, who's ahead of him by, well, just about 1.6 seconds. He is gaining. He's now got the slipstream of a lapped car, which could quickly turn into a bit of a rolling roadblock, which is often the case, especially with these cars that do give a little bit of dirty air away. We'll see here, still a few laps left to go to duke it out, battle it out between the two teammates here. Although technically they're not really teammates here because Semstra drives for the Alcantech NHR by Newman Racing and Tobias Olsen the Alcantech NHR by SimLab team. You reckon here, Chas, do you think Olsen's gonna have a shot, a chance to pull in Semstra here over the last few laps, or is it a done deal here? 1.3 seconds between the two.
Oh, I don't know. Last lap time, it was pretty much equal. Actually, Semstra was a tiny bit quicker. Oh my... I don't have words for how Tobias Olsen is driving this car. I've not seen anybody drive a Formula 3 car like this on iRacing before. I honestly have not. Unbelievable. He's just all over the show, but still he's quick. Now, this is a good battle. Dries Moosdy all over the back of Pete Harrod. Dries needs to be careful here because he's in the consistency class. Third place in that class at the moment. On for some strong points. But at the same time, if he doesn't push to get past Pete Harrod, yep, there he is. Phil Russell right behind him. We're on to the penultimate lap now for Mark Fletcher. But this could get tasty between these guys. We'll have to keep a close eye on this one as well. But there's just, again, it's just been so entertaining with so many battles inside the top 10. Even in the top 20, you know, everybody on that left-hand board, except for Philip Russell, and that's it, are in a different position to where they started this race. It's great. Oh, Jakub Szymanski is the next one down in 21st. And out of everyone in the race, they're the only two that are where they started. Incredible.
Oh, look at this here. Grabowski's on the outside of Craig Schill. And it's a long way around there, but you can get a good run. Then there's side by side here down the start-finish straight. And of course, still two more laps to go for these two here. Grabowski is going to hold that outside line, and he's going to outbrake Craig Schill in the end and take that position. And we're going to jump straight back to the fight between Dries Moody and look at Phil Russell, who's on his tail. He closed that 1 second gap quickly indeed, and Moosty's made the mistake, and he's opened the door for Russell. Here's Russell's going to be on the outside, but I'm not quite sure he's going to make it.
Very feisty stuff. Philip Russell gets a great run out of the left-hander. That is the hairpin at Bocht 10. Hard onto the brakes they'll go now into the quick right-hander. That's the Hans-Ernst Bock. Still, Moosdy holds on. Now, Mark Fletcher has started the final lap of the race. But this battle continues to rage on. Moosdy carries some great speed there through the penultimate corner. Very close, using all of that curve through Kumo. Down the straight they go then to start the final lap of the race. This for third place in a podium spot. Inconsistency, Moosdy's moved over. Oh, Moosdy, you don't... Oh, I say it every broadcast. You don't need to move over in a straight line. It doesn't prove anything. Doesn't make you a big, hard man. You don't need to... I mean, Russell... Well, to be fair, I don't think Moosdy did move over, but Russell had to come over at some point because the wall was going away, so I take my words back on Dries Moosdy there if that sounded harsh, but you don't need to squeeze somebody that far over, look. You just don't need to do it because all you're going to do is do yourself over, and that's exactly what happened. they got away with it damage-wise, I think, I really think they got away with that damage-wise. They didn't end up tangled with each other, but that's a real shame. But any time now, Mark Fletcher will be finishing this race and taking the win, Hassa.
Yeah, indeed he will. And we'll see if we can catch it on this time. Oh, just about in time.
Hey, my mate Fletcher.
Takes the checkered flag. It's going to be ahead of Kevin Zemstra. Ben Hoffman. Oh, what has happened to Tobias Olsen on the final lap as well?
Oh.
He's been off track. He's lost position. Hoffman gets overall third and a class win for him as well. Kevin Poole.
Oh, brilliant. That's amazing for Hoffman, though. Overall podium. GG.
Once again,
Wow.
it's not the first time he's done this tonight. Look at Tobias Olsen here. How does he control that car in that situation? Comes in and meets the apex even. That's incredible.
But he didn't lose a place.
Well, didn't he? No.
No, that was weird. That was really weird. He didn't lose the place. Jürgen van der Peer, by the way, 9th place overall, has won the Academy class. Daniele Giudici, 2nd in that class, in 11th overall. Phil Reagan is 14th.
Oh, there's been another one here for Olsen.
Oh, the last corner. The very last corner for Tobias Olsen.
No, this is the lap before. It's the lap before. This is where he lost the positions.
Oh, everyone having good awareness to go around in there.
Oh, my word. That was very, very close, and I'm afraid that could have been trouble for Mark van Dalen. Yeah, I think so. Look at this. Oh, and he just gets thrown off, and he's right and hard into the wall there.
Well, they've released some merchandise recently of year one. I think they're going to have to buy Mark van Dalen a new race suit for that one, because I imagine that something exited his backside there that made a very big mess, because that was the scariest moment we've seen all night, I'd say. But I have to remain unbiased, but very pleased to see Mark Fletcher take a win. Kevin Zemstra, though, you have to sort of feel for Kevin there, because he's been so dominant all night. To not get a win in the final race, that'll be absolutely gutting, really. I know second place is still good, but I'm disappointed for him there.
Yeah, indeed. And he was probably really wanting it, maybe that little bit too much to make it out 3 out of 3. But Mark Fletcher, what a race as well, to just keep believing there. And the rest of the results from Precision, as Kevin Poole gets third ahead of Tobias Olsen, who's been quick, but also had his moments over the night here in all 3 heats. Miguel Freitas, 5th in class ahead of Peter Harrod. Wayne Palmer, Mark van Dalen in 8th place there. James Forsyth, Dominika Jovica, and Reese Saunders. Bart Daleman, ever unlucky it seems tonight. 12th he gets. Chess, would you like to take us through the results in consistency?
Yes, indeed. Race winner for consistency, 3rd overall, Ben Hoffman. Hans Polmans finishes 6th overall, 2nd in class. Phil Russell, 10th overall, 3rd in class. Then it's Dries Moosdi, after that accident, losing out, just ahead of his stablemate Stephen De Wolf in 5th. Tim Rutten and Carl Newen, the last ones to finish on the lead lap. Taylor Lane, 1 lap down, and Paul Smith, unfortunately, retiring early on.
Yes, indeed, and we're on to Academy, where Jürgen van der Peer takes a class win ahead of Daniele Giudici and Phil Reagan. Stephen Grabowski close to the podium, but not quite for him. Did indeed get ahead of Craig Schill in the end there. Jakub Szymanski gets 6th ahead of Paul Gutton, Greg Parmenter, and Adam Oshiwala, with Robert Odoms, Dennis Virenga, and Matthijs Groen in the end crashing out so close to the end. That rounds off the race results for tonight. If we're lucky indeed, and as we're hoping for, we'll have some drivers ready to join us for a bit of an interview here, chat. You reckon we should go for to start out with?
It's a tough one. Mr. Fletcher has gone to a different waiting room and muted, probably because he's punching the air in happiness for taking his win. Somebody that had a very tough night was Jakub Szymanski. I think we could potentially have a word with Jakub and see what happened there. But Jakub, mate, it's good to see you out in the Williams livery and getting some good support for your racing this evening. But something just didn't quite add up for you tonight. What was the situation there?
Well, for me personally, Zandvoort might be the less favorite of the tracks right after Monaco. I just can't get right on it. I do very easy mistakes. And unfortunately, I believe in race 1 I got crashed into, or I crashed into somebody, I misremember. In the race 2 I just quit in frustration, easy as that. Because I was just like too loud behind everyone, I thought it's not worth it, I just quit.
Yeah, that's
And the race-
understandable.
Yes, and the race 3 went much better than this.
Well, that's the thing, you can always turn these evenings around when you've had a difficult race, but Zandvoort is a very frustrating circuit sometimes. It's either really entertaining because it's very rewarding when you get it right, but when it goes wrong here, it properly goes wrong because it's quite an old school circuit, isn't it? It's never the easiest to get right on these older tracks.
No, definitely not. You notice quite a lot, especially after you drive like around Hockenheim, Montreal, all those modern tracks that are widen up, have more runoff areas where you get a bit more tolerance to your own mistakes. Then you go into Zandvoort, where if you leave the track, you go like 2 meters of grass, and then it's a ban, and that's your race over.
Yeah, it's kind of like Brands Hatch or Alton Park, like we have here in the
Yes,
UK.
so-
These older tracks, they really bite you in the backside if you get it wrong, don't they?
Oh yeah, that's an old school way of thinking about racing. You either win or you lose it. There's nowhere in between. And from one way, I respect that. On the other hand,
It's a pain.
a bit, yes, and we moved on a bit from those times. So, but I still respect the track. It's not bad. It's definitely not the worst layout-wise. It's just that other drivers are good. I'm bad on it. That's it, pretty much.
Well, it's not easy to do, mate, but still, you made it look entertaining out there. Love the livery as well, by the way. You got Hasser and I reminiscing a lot. I particularly went on a huge tangent about Williams and their demise. But either way, it was great to see you back out there tonight. Obviously, you joined the championship after, I think it was this broadcast last time when we did Zandvoort that you then, I think that was either your first meeting or you signed up to the season after Zandvoort, didn't you?
No, I joined the last season after Spain.
Well, yes, it was after Catalunya.
And I got into the feature race after 2 heats in consolation. And on the I sorry to say this, Chaz, but on the second to last lap, you cast the commentator curse on me. You complimented me, and I literally crashed out on the next corner.
Oh,
So that was, I mean, it was learning experience. It was literally my first race in any sort of professional league. So you can only go up, and I still believe I improved a lot compared to this first outing.
Well, that's good to hear, mate. And it's great to see the development of you drivers when you come into series like this and you get quicker and quicker. So we look forward to seeing how that development hopefully continues for you. Is there anyone you'd like to give a quick shout out to while we've got you on stream?
Oh, definitely both of you, putting up with YouTube, all these troubles that you have it. Entirety of league, every single driver, those are the people who make the show, who make the entire league. Without them, there would be us with it. And yeah, most definitely Bart, because he's been putting up with a lot this season, and it's just a lot of work and workload. Sorry. And it's just great to see that some people have the heart for it, to just let some 45 people just drive around the virtual track and have fun with it. That's great.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you there. The people love Bart and Bart loves the people. So hats off to him. But very well done, mate. Great to see you continuing to improve at least, and can't wait to see you in the next one. But thanks for joining us, and we will catch you next time.
Yeah, see you next time as well.
Cheers. Right then, I've had a message from my good mate Mark Fletcher, who has said he was only muted for his stream, which, to be fair, after doing streaming and knowing how complicated the audio gets, good shout. Mr. Fletcher, hello. You're probably fed up of hearing my voice anyway after our trip to Snetterton, but I imagine you are over the moon right now because it didn't look like that was going to be a very easy evening for you early on. Talk us through it.
Yeah, I was my own worst enemy in the first one. Silly mistake coming onto the straight, as you've seen a lot of people do this evening. Caught the grass. Luckily, I kept it out of the wall, I think, just about. And to be fair to him, I could not get past Dom for love or money. I think a lot of people struggled to pass this evening. Probably shouldn't have gone for it in race 2. Going around the outside there, he was always going to push wide. We clipped wheels and away we went. And yeah, look at these NHR boys. They're just so fast. If it's not Olsen, it's Zemstra. If it's not Zemstra, it's Forsyth. They're everywhere.
Yeah, indeed, the dearly departed of Fiercely Forward, as it would seem. But you've always got somebody to race in this championship, and it seems that in every single race, no matter where we are, no matter what the previous result was, there's always somebody that comes out of the woodwork to just spring a surprise result. I mean, I hint at tonight, Ben Hoffman in the consistency class.
Yeah, fantastic. I tell you what, a fantastic evening for him. And Ben's very clever when it comes to racing. You could see in that third race, he was like, right, when he let Tobias past, I thought, right, Ben knows that this isn't his race. And, it takes a very clever driver to just go, look, after you boys, you have at it. I've got my own race to do here. But yeah, fantastic job from those guys. And to be fair, the year one guys as well.
Yeah, it's been a very, very strong night for a number of different drivers. And to be fair, that's what we love about this championship, because there was a lot of bad luck further down the order. We lost a bunch of precision drivers due to different incidents early on. And that's how it shakes up the championship. And that's ultimately what it's all about. Are you feeling happy with your playoff results so far, considering that you missed the previous meeting?
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to be up there. I think we can already see where it's going to end up. Bart ain't never far away. But yeah, it's going to be trying to beat these NHR guys. It's going to be some decent finals.
Well, we certainly look forward to how it carries on, mate. And before we let you go, obviously, well done from Hasser and I. And is there anyone you'd like to give a quick shout out to before you go?
Just all the guys at Altitude. Obviously, you know most of them. And then our sponsors, Ace Tech Sim Sport, Sim Stickers, Bream, and also Sim Racing Studios. And thank you guys for doing the broadcast.
Not a problem at all, mate. Thank you very much, Mark. Well done, buddy. And we will see you again very, very soon, I'm sure.
Cool. Cheers, Jazz. Cheers, Hasser.
Cheers. Nice one. Right then. Time for one more, Hasser. I'll let you decide the fate of whoever we shall bring in here. We've got Craig Schill, Daniele Giudici, and Tim Rutten to choose from.
Let's take Daniele Giudici and for a word with you, Chess. It seems like you know each other quite well.
We do indeed. From front-wheel drive Honda Civics to rear-wheel drive Dallara Formula 3 cars in the Netherlands. It's been an exciting pair of evenings for you, Daniele, but certainly looked like tonight was the more lively of the two. Would you definitely agree, or am I getting this completely wrong?
Well, at least this time I'm not 2 seconds a lap slower than anybody else. So, yeah, I'm racing someone.
Well, how did you find that this evening? Because I mean, we've obviously been here before in this championship, but every single time we come back, it just seems like it's still as lively.
Yeah, it is. Has been a really, really fun race. Shame for race one, I had a bit of contact on the Tarzanbock. But at least race 3, no contacts, finally could race. It was a really, really nice one for me, especially trying to chase down Jürgen for P1 in class. And I managed almost to get him. Not enough. There was 2 seconds left in the chase. So yeah, great race. I loved it.
And what do you make of this car-track combination? Because it seemed like a lot of people had trouble overtaking, but a number of people, to be fair, just seemed to struggle getting the car around the circuit. It looks like one of those very punishing tracks if you get it wrong. Very old school.
Yes, it is. It was really, really technical. The space is not really there to make an overtake unless you have really commitment for that. Car was a bit tricky. You had to play a lot with and be modular with the throttle, try to engage the diff and keep it there. If you were too aggressive, it will spin. And especially on the slow corners coming out, it was really challenging. But on the same hand, you have Tarzanbock, and then the complex goes to turn 3, which is really, really nice. And if you get a good line, you can make some good overtakes like mine on Tilregan and race 3.
Yes,
all the outside.
We certainly enjoyed that one. I was just about to ask. I imagine you were screaming for the hills after that one, because that looked like a very satisfying move, because you really got a good run out of that corner. Were you sort of lining that up and preparing that one for a while with sort of just pushing the limits of the pace, or did it just sort of happen and you thought, well, we're here now, let's do it?
I was trying. I knew that Phil was a bit struggling on the exit of the chicane going into the last corner, so I said I'll try. If I stay with him, I got the slipstream, I can try and take him on turn 1 and see how it goes. He defended really, really well on the straight, and so I said, okay, or I pass you on the outside, I don't get you, and I will start losing a bit of time behind him. So I say, you know what, let's try outside. I made it stick and went, so I was really, really happy. it was kind of planned, but on the same hand, improvised on the last moment.
Well, either way, mate, it worked out and it was great to watch. Obviously, nearly at the end of the first set of playoffs. Are you happy with how it's gone so far, or do you see the second set of playoffs as an opportunity to improve?
Definitely, the second set of playoff will be an opportunity. As per my usual in this series, I've been played with bad luck on the first 2 races.
Yeah.
Partially for my fault, partially for contacts I had. Race 3 at Montreal, I've been taken off basically lap 1, and I had a minute and a half of fast repairs that didn't happen. So race gone. The first round was a bit iffy. I had a couple of problems on race 2 on Suzuka. Despite the good pace, I also made 2 silly mistakes in the same place twice. So it's typical. You get back into it, as we know, switching to many cars is not always easy. We've done TCI yesterday, BTCC yesterday, the 2 of us, and now you jump in a Formula. And this Sunday, I'm probably racing a GT3 car at the Hungaroring. So.
Yeah, it's certainly a busy time in sim racing for you at the moment then, mate. But either way, like I said, it was very entertaining to watch, mate. Great racing all the same from you. Is there anybody that you'd like to give a quick shout out to before you go?
Well, of course, you guys for the amazing commentary as usual. I can't wait to go and see the replay. To all my teammates, especially Paul, that has been doing these races one-handed because he's a bit injured and he's pulling out amazing results. So kudos to him. He's always our top guy in this situation. And a big shout to everybody on the SRW community, Bart for organizing, and from everyone participating and making a really, really good racing night.
Well, thank you very much, Daniele. Great to speak to you, mate, and well done on your respective results. And we will see you next time round.
Sure, Chaz.
Cheers.
See you soon.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Great stuff. Really, really positive bloke is Daniele Giudici. Absolutely love him. We had a fantastic laugh last night racing in touring cars, and tonight he's managed to get some decent results. And that overtake, to be fair, Hassa, was an absolute belter in that last race. So that's at least something to be pleased about when he goes away from this evening.
Yeah, and when it happens late in a race like that, it's something that's the feeling you carry along at the end. It's always nice to end it on a high note, and that seems to be what happened for Daniele tonight, so it's pleased to see as well. It's going to round off the broadcast for tonight as well, Chaz. Unless there's anything you would like to throw in there at the end, I'm going to say thank you to Sim Stickers for sponsoring the series and supporting us. Check out their webpage. A link is indeed in the description. Of course, apologies for whatever technical difficulties has befallen us. I hope it hasn't interrupted your viewing experience too much. And with that said, of course, we will be back with more from iRacing in the week to come. We've got a doubleheader on Sunday with the Sunday GT Masters, followed by the Sunday Drivers MX5 series from Oulton Park. We've got another Monday of NASCAR racing, but be it this time from a road track at Watkins Glen. We've got the Porsche Cup of Great Britain's Porsche Cup series that's kicking off on Wednesday, October 13th. Indeed, with Chaz Draycott and Peter Mackay in the commentary booth. So that's really one to look forward to. Then we got the next round of SRW F3 action 1 week away from now, of course. You know exactly where to find that as well. So I hope to see you there as well. From myself, Hasse Römer and Chaz Draycott, it's been a grand pleasure having you all along. And we hope to see you again soon here on Sim Racers World TV. Until then, have fun, take care, and bye-bye.